What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. My girl JoJo is here with me today. JoJo Alonzo.
Hey.
And we have a special guest joining us, Stacy Davis Gates. Now, I got to get all the accolades here. President of the Chicago Teachers Union, President of the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and Vice Chair of the American Federation of Teachers. Correct?
Vice President.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get that wrong, but yeah.
Okay, well,
Well,
look,
thank you.
But important, you know.
Very important.
I mean, we're all
Needed.
important, but we definitely want to talk to you because there's a lot going on in Chicago right now when it comes to elections, and you guys have something special that's never happened before. So can you just fill us in on what's going on?
So for the first time in the history of our great city, families, parents, people who send their children to public school, voting residents of the city will be able to choose who gets to govern our school board. Mm-hmm. For years, it has been under mayoral control, and it has always been a step or two away from the control of the people. So right now, especially in the America that we are all surviving, this is huge to expand democracy when you see democracy being whittled away every day in D.C.
How was that brought up to become a thing, though? Like,
How did that even happen?
yeah.
Well, Rahm Emanuel closed 50 schools. He was our mayor in 2013, and he closed 50 schools. He closed 50 schools on black children, on brown children in the city. And if you ever want to feel powerless, watch a black mother cry and beg for her children's school that's in walking distance, cry to get it to stay open.
Right.
It was awful.
50 schools is a lot.
50 schools is a lot. And that was on top of hundreds of schools that have been closed. So back in the late 90s, there was this thing called education reform, where people really believed that if you closed the school, started all over with a brand new staff, that you would get better results. Well, what we're living in Chicago right now is the messiness of those results, right? You have a loss of community in black spaces. In fact, Johns Hopkins just released a study that said that the neighborhoods where schools were closed experienced more violence.
Wow. We know how linked that is, too, when it comes to further in life, too, as far as what education does when it comes to violence, but also going to prison, that pipeline.
Well, the point of all of this is to have community. And we know in safe communities, you have well-functioning, well-resourced school communities.
When jobs are available.
Parents work.
Yeah.
The quickest way to discern if a child is going to achieve or not is by their parents' W-2.
You know, you also were a teacher. For how long were you?
I was a teacher for about 15 years.
15 years.
High school history.
Woo!
High school history.
And so
Yes.
think about what's happening with history now, too. I
Right.
want to talk about your experience as a high school history teacher, but then what you see happening when it comes to the erasure of that.
Dude, I just left Montgomery, Alabama this past spring, and they have a legacy museum. I encourage everyone to go to that museum, because what it is the history of lynching in this country.
Yeah.
So it starts with water. So you hear water hitting the shores, and then you hear the cries and the moans of people. I have never been so emotional about any museum that I've ever visited in my life. So as a history teacher, I am often critical of the way that I gave my students history, because being in that museum and understanding the inhumanity of enslavement in this country gives me a better perspective and a hope for our country, quite frankly, right? The depravity of that practice. And then to sit here in this room with these beautiful African queens that are running things, it shows the capacity of resilience and opportunity. And that's what schools should be.
Yeah, because I think there's so many narratives around why certain things shouldn't be taught in schools. I mean, when I tell you with this president, we've seen so many things being undone, and we saw the plan ahead of time of what was about to happen. People didn't take it seriously. And I think it is so important for you to be here to talk about how people can have a voice and vote, because there's a lot of money getting poured into this particular election.
Oh, my goodness. Elections in this country are completely unprincipled in the way that it uses money. We just saw in Michigan that there was like $70 million spent on a Senate campaign. $70 million. How many people get to eat with $70 million?
Right.
How many medical bills could be paid off with $70 million? So in Chicago, we have billionaires who are all in to control our school board, because billionaires were the ones who put Rahm Emanuel in place to close 50 schools. Right, Ken Griffin, who's a billionaire here in New York City, giving you guys as mayor some problems. Ken Griffin said that Rahm Emanuel should have closed more than 50 schools.
Wow.
Yeah, man, these people are very serious about maintaining the air of superiority.
That status quo that they want to have.
Yeah, because what was their main reason of like why I'm shutting down these 53 schools?
Well, the reasons went from this is a cost savings measure to this is about academic achievement. This is about closing schools to create more opportunity, right? There were a myriad of argumentations put forth. And the bottom line is every single academic study that has been done about school closings shows that it is a failed policy with grave impact on communities and families. And the preponderance of those people are Black. They've been pushed out. There are thousands of kids right now that our city doesn't know what happened to them once they were pushed out of their schools. And so this school board election is born from that trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you have people like G2 Brown, who is currently running to be a member of the school board, who went on a hunger strike to keep his school open.
Wow.
Okay.
You know, you have people like Eladio Dominguez, who was a Chicago Public Schools graduate who led a walkout against budget cuts when he was a senior in high school.
And went to school with Vic Mensa, was one of his classmates.
Yes.
And I saw Vic Mensa did endorse him.
Yeah, that's
It's huge.
Yeah.
that's nice.
You know, like, look, Vic Mensa is pulling down oranges and spitting facts.
He is.
I love
it.
I love the fact that he has an actual show, like it's real.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
when I tell you, I watch his show, and it is amazing. And I love the fact that he's made it like cool for people to be informed and speak on all kinds of things like empowering women, voting, education, and kind of breaking things down in terms for people. Do you think that celebrity endorsements work?
His celebrity endorsement
Yeah,
works.
because it makes sense.
Well, because he's our student.
Yeah.
So he has dimensions. So one, he's a Chicagoan, right? Two, he's a graduate of the Chicago Public Schools. Right. He is who we wanted him to be, who we worked hard to see in this world. So he gives us a dimensional endorsement as a person who is invested from top to bottom in the edification of our children and of our people. He's using his celebrity to make us all better. And in this moment, that's the type of community and leadership you need from everyone across the board. Like, I don't think anyone in this moment that they get to choose to bypass an opportunity to engage. Angela, you just talked about voting and it meaning something. And I hear that, but you know what I want to tell people? I want to tell people to change the conversation. To win the debate on our humanity. Like the data center debates that are going on. Do we let people build a data center that's going to suck up all the natural resources? Like, that's the debate.
Right.
You want people to vote, and you want them to engage, and you want them to become accountable for their own space. That's what we're moving in Chicago right now. We have a Black mayor who is doing God's work in the face of a lot of resistance in the city. You know, he's given Black women wage increases from child care to public education. But they're all running up against the same problem. Billionaires who do not want to be taxed just like you and I are taxed.
This is happening right here in New York right now, too.
It's the same debate. The thing I think differently Here in New York is that you had progressive leadership before. You had de Blasio for a couple of terms. So New Yorkers have a completely different muscle than Chicagoans do right now. But I'll tell you that there is a grit in Chicago that we see, and it's happening with this school board race. Young people are excited. They are getting a voice. The best video that Eladio has on social media right now is one where he's eating an actual school lunch. Right?
I remember them lunches, boy. I don't know if I could do it.
Hey, let me tell you.
I had a couple good ones.
Yeah.
It looks like a snack.
Okay.
It looks like a snack. You know, it was nachos and cheese.
I remember my favorite day was them boiled hot dogs. Ooh.
I like the pig in the blanket.
We had a little
blanket.
baked potato day, like one day out of the week.
But these things are important, though. And we
Yeah.
got to think about nutrition and how nutrition is linked to kids and ADHD and all of that.
No.
That definitely all plays a role in what we're giving our kids at school and what people are spending money on, too.
Yeah.
Because people act like nutrition is not important.
And also because sometimes these students, they don't have food at home.
Yep, that too.
So it's like
And
I
when
come
summer
here
school,
and I only have chips and cheese. Now I'm angry. Now I can't focus. Now I want to fight. Like, it's a lot that comes with all of that.
You have to serve the whole person.
Yeah.
Like this president that we have now, President Trump.
oh, I don't have him.
Well, I mean,
No, I do.
if you don't have him, we do have the impact of him.
Yes, we do.
We do
for
have
sure.
the impact.
And we have to take that seriously because some people aren't.
Well, teachers take it seriously every day. The same children who are coming to school hungry are the same children who aren't going to the doctor. When you cut SNAP benefits, those are kids that are coming to school hungry. When you take away Medicaid and Medicare benefits from people, they don't get to go see a doctor. These things have grave consequence and they land in our school communities. That's why we want power to the people who actually have to struggle against, you know, a lot of these unfair policies.
What made you make the shift from being a teacher into being this position where you do get attacked a lot? I want to say, like, even just looking up stuff on Stacy Davis Gates and seeing how some people are so, and it's a certain type of person that has issues with things that you've been implementing. What made you say, okay, I got to step out and be on this side of things?
My school was closed. So, like, the trauma of school closing is something that I hold, you know, on a very personal level. And they could not, the system, those who were in charge at the time, Arnie Duncan at that time was our CEO of Chicago Public Schools. They couldn't give us a reasonable answer as to why that they closed us. What did we not do well enough, right? And what can you do to support that? So they closed us. They reopened the school in 3 different iterations, only to close those iterations of the school as well, right? It's a failed policy that has consequence to families, to young people. You don't get those years back, right? It's disjointed. So we couldn't make it make sense. And so it was a group of us experiencing school closings all at the same time. And we formed like this teacher Voltron. And we took over our union because we felt like our union was a place in which we could advocate for our students, because we believe that if you advocate for the student, you advocate for public education, you advocate for union rights, you advocate for full funding, you advocate to tax those who have more. We believe that. It's rooted in what the student deserves. And so Chicago children deserve school communities that service their whole person. If we live in a city that is as deeply segregated as Chicago,
By design.
By design.
By design, for sure.
By design. And a stubborn design. Because why is it still like that in 2026?
Yeah,
right?
no, you're absolutely right.
And so the resources have been choked off for generations in our city. And so it was like, do you want to continue to go to this job every day, passing crime scenes, dodging sinkholes, or do you want to be a part of making this union responsible for the young people that come into our school communities? And so we took over our union and we started to negotiate for things that they needed inside the schoolhouse and outside of the schoolhouse. So we negotiate for housing for our young people. Our LGBTQIA students, we've negotiated for safe spaces for them. We've negotiated sanctuary protections for immigrant families in our contract. These are things that we make the district do with us and the protection and the edification of our kids, because that's the point.
Yeah, that is. And, you know, NBC News has called you the Chicago Teachers Union boss who endlessly provokes the right. And this kind of goes along with everything why they would say that. But you've become a target frequently of these conservative groups. Like I've told you, I've seen a lot of things in right-wing media. Why do you think they are so focused on you in particular? And what do you think these attacks are really about?
Well, I think they're focused on us because we're right.
Not right wing, but right.
and we're winning. And so why would you focus on someone who's wrong and a loser?
Right.
Right? We're doing good work in Chicago. We really are. We're setting a standard for how labor unions can use their power, their contract, their capacity for everyone else. We're public school teachers. If there's no public school teacher.
Yeah.
We are we are tied, connected to the people in that city. So you better love on them a little bit, right? So when Laquan McDonald, when the video came out where he was murdered, we marched with the people. We locked arms that same night. I remember it. You have to be there for students beyond that classroom.
Yeah.
And the best thing about my union is that it cares for the whole person.
And I think the crazy part about it is that the people that are fighting against it, you know, they don't know. They don't understand, you know, the things that we go through or that we see or how important it is for us to be able to go to school, like locally, because some people, you know, in surrounding areas and neighborhoods, they can't afford to go across town or to take their child to school somewhere else. Because is that what happened? Like once those schools were closed, they had to find them somewhere else to go, like far away?
Well, on average, Chicagoans, Black Chicagoans whose children go to the Chicago public schools, they travel at least 30 minutes one way, on average.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. That's
crazy.
impact of policy making. Hard decisions in this country are typically made on the backs of the most vulnerable. Think about what's happening with health care and Social Security. Those are our seniors. They need both of those things, right? And think about what happens to mothers, not even children. If mothers can't have child care, who's going to care for their kid?
Trying to tell you.
Right? And how do they then work and supply their children with their basic needs? So if we are not taking care of women, children, and the elderly, we are a civilization in decline. Yeah. And that's what we're all experiencing at this point.
I mean, even when you speak about women, Black women have the highest rate of unemployment right now, and it's been going up.
That's punishment. That's punishment for our sister, Vice President Harris, right? Everyone understands the power of us.
Right.
They don't celebrate us. They don't lift us up in joyful regard. But you can tell who's powerful by how hard they punish you, by how hard they shame you. So when you talk about the comments that I get, like, look, I'm human just like anyone else is.
Right. And you have children and a husband who probably get even madder than you do about it. Because sometimes that happens and you be like, I'm used to it, but you know it affects everybody around you.
And you have to tell people to stay out of the
comments.
That's
what I have to do.
You see what Kurt Franklin did, remember?
He's human.
Exactly.
He's human. And so you have to, look, we kicking ass.
Yep.
And we only taking names for the next names.
Hello.
And so I have to stay focused on that thing. Our young people need people who love them and who are willing to do the work to make sure that they have. Black children are being lynched in this country right now. And people are being harassed and abused for lifting up their humanity.
You're right.
You know, think about how depraved one has to be to not mourn the loss of a child.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Sometimes I sit back and I'm like, I'll show you stuff and I'm like, I can't believe this is where we are. Like,
so it requires
it's embarrassing too.
And I would say, like, for you to even have the courage to step out and do what you're doing is amazing, because it, like we're saying, like, you get a lot of backlash. Like, it can become dangerous,
and especially
times,
when it's
you know
billionaires and the right-wing media.
Girl, who do I think I am? No, I think about it all the time. Right? You know how we are not our ancestors. You damn right we ain't. Because I cannot imagine the level of depravity that they faced every day in a world that thought it was okay. Now they still think it's okay.
There's no accountability at all.
But none. Right? If you think about the bombings and the lynchings during the civil rights movement in particular, those cases were not adjudicated until the early 1980s, right? So you went like decades without any ounce of justice, right? And so now I have a lot of nerve to be out here thinking that a labor union allied with community groups can have a voice in sustaining the lives of Black children, brown children, immigrant children, all children in Chicago. I do have a lot of audacity because all of the data is telling us otherwise. And, dude, what else we gonna do?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And, you know, what you said earlier, too, when we're thinking about leadership and elections, we also have to be thinking about 2028. And I don't know that anybody has laid out the groundwork for people to feel like this is who I want when we think about even the president of this country. And so I'm sure you've been strategizing on that, though.
Well, listen, we have a governor who's running for president, right? Or we think is running for president.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. But let me say it like this. It's not who do we want. Is what do we want? Need.
Need, yes.
Right? I negotiate contracts too. And the best thing that you can do is create a list of needs. Now, we want a lot, but what do you need? Because the negotiation is always. It has to fall down to what do you need? What do you need?
What would you tell people to be looking for?
Well, we're going to need people who can get in there and do it right. The one thing that I don't hear people say enough is that we need to make the Supreme Court a little bigger. It's going to have to get bigger because we don't have another generation to save our environment. We don't have another generation for my voting rights to be restored. We don't have another generation to rebuild the Department of Education. We need to do a redo fast, quick, and in a hurry. We have got to say what we need. We need Black men, Black women to work. And we need to make sure that our children have food and health care.
Yes.
Right? And we need college, public education for all. And it needs to be funded. And by and large, you got to tax these billionaires who continue to fill our political rests with nonsense because they're not paying their fair share. So if they were paying taxes, right, then there would be no need for them to waste money in the way that they're doing in these political elections, because we would have something that's more sustainable. We have got to win the argument on community in this country. We have got to win the argument on what solidarity looks like in terms of this democracy. You don't have to like each other. I don't even know if that's a laudable goal, but we all need a job. We all need shelter. We all need education and health care and transportation. We need those things. So if we all need those things, what's the quickest route to getting that? And that's why racism is lazy, right? Because racism seeks to divide us on our core needs.
Right, but I mean, we all need those things.
All of us.
All of us. How do we get people energized to even vote? Because, and I think the power does come with people, you know, because sometimes they assume they can get us discouraged about voting or try to repress the vote, which is being done right now, making sure it's more difficult for certain people to be able to vote and making you feel like it doesn't even matter. Why do you care anyway? What's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
Also having us divided in our own party too, right? Because that's a real thing where it's been made to look like, oh, this is terrible. Anyway, I'm not voting for a person that I don't fully support. Well, if they're not doing this, I'm withholding my vote. But when you withhold a vote, what you're really doing is giving the other side more power. So for people who are listening right now, why, and you've given a billion reasons why, but how would you say we get people to get up and actually come together to strategize, to hold our politicians accountable and get out there and vote?
Dude, good question. I'll tell it like this. I'll give you a story. I am the president of a labor union, 2 of them. And the one thing that we've done at the Chicago Teachers Union is transform a lot of stuff these past 16 years. We have gone from having 50 schools closed on us to helping to elect a middle school teacher as mayor of the city, to creating more democracy. That's a lot of powerful work in a short amount of time. And so what our union did was that we created community with people who had common cause. So our parents, the community groups, our teachers, our clinicians, our paraprofessionals. We created common cause. Our school communities mattered to us, and we all needed our school communities. We also needed educators that were respected, dignified, with wages and benefits that made sense, right? 80% of our membership is female. So these are women, right? And we all know what the wage gap is for women, right? So I don't make any apologies for doing that. People need. So what we do when we are bargaining a contract is we do it with the community, we do it with our parents, we do it with our students, and we do it with our members. But we get people to tell us what they need. And then we figure out how to struggle for our needs together. We take a lot of votes to decide what the priorities are. We take a lot of votes to figure out how we are going to activate and show and demonstrate the needs that we have and its impact. And we take more votes on that. So we build consensus. And if we can't get to consensus, we get to majority. That's what this country needs right now, is a practice of solidarity. How do we get beyond our differences and find our needs and our common cause and figure out ways to practice working with each other as we are on the journey to getting our needs met? That's the work right now. And so what I would tell people to do is find your local NNACP. Right? Find your church that is active. Find your labor union. Find your community group. And find something that you care about. And couple it with your need. And create community, common cause, and struggle together for those needs. You trust each other. You hear each other. You give each other the benefit of the doubt. And you don't let lazy devices such as racism destroy you.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of people are giving up, because
That's all of a plan. That's part of a plan, though.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you call voter suppression for sure. When they make you feel like, well, just give up. It doesn't matter.
Like nothing's gonna,
nothing's gonna change. And you know, when you talk about solidarity, and I have to imagine, I've seen some of these headlines about you and the attacks that you have come under. And then I'm like, how do you find common ground? And how do you come together with people that have constantly tried to downplay what you're doing or just put out a whole different narrative about what it is?
First, Jesus is real.
Annie.
Right? Amen. And that's the practice of solidarity. You take votes. You have debate. I win the debate because I seek to win the debate by creating consensus. I talk to people. We organize. We create the opportunity for us to win together. Look, it's easy to read the comments. It's even easier to devolve into the insecurities of leadership because you're on the front page of newspapers being humiliated. It would be very easy. But it's also not easy to continue to remember what it felt like when Rahm Emanuel closed 50 schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll never forget that level of the depth of that powerlessness in that moment. So if anyone wants to know like what gets me up in the morning, it's not having to see another Black woman beg for something.
I'm trying to tell you.
That's what gets me
I
up in the
know.
morning. We have done enough.
Yeah.
We are owed in reparation. You understand?
Yeah.
And so this work is about making sure those who have done enough already get what they deserve.
Well, I appreciate you for coming here, and I'm glad that you were able to spread the knowledge, and I want to make sure that we uplift that. Shout out to everybody on GCI listening right now in Chicago. What is the takeaway you want people to get from this?
First, you got to love community. You do. Community is going to be important to any type of transformation, opportunity that we can give our young people. Second is you got to get the young people in the school building. Like, so for all my people listening at WGCI, get our young people in the school building. We start on August 24th. It's important. And then once they get there, support them, love on them, and love them past their mistakes. Love them past their bad days because they're people too and they deserve all of us. And then finally advocate for them. Come hell and high water, let these young people know that you have their back. They deserve everything and then some, and it is only us standing in the way of it or making a way for it.
You know, the other unifying thing is music. So, I have to ask you, what is on your playlist?
Everything. So, no, seriously.
I want to know what you're listening to.
Well, right now, like, my kids are going to roll their eyes.
Uh-oh.
But I'm messing with Carisha right now.
Hey! Okay.
Yes. So that is my anthem of the summer. Spin it.
Okay, I'm trying to tell you.
Okay,
Man,
they
she's
definitely
doing
about to
that.
be like, she's supporting scammers. No.
Nah.
We support. We need you
my
to
girl.
spin that.
No, you know why
for the system.
Listen, Carisha and JT was every South Side and West Side girl I taught in Chicago public schools.
I'm trying to tell
I
you.
am always rooting for those girls, and I am rooting for them, and it sound good.
But she's going to be guest hosting this week, so that's going to be fun.
Well, shout out.
Well, I'm good. That was interesting to hear. See how unifying music can be.
For sure.
And I know them Republicans love it too. The MAGA love spend that.
You know they do.
Yeah.
Take that.
Because
that's what they love. Take that. Steal that.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm going to hit you up when I'm in Chicago too, because I come there a lot.
Well, welcome, and can't wait to see you again, Angela. Thank you.
And we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, JoJo.